Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. This morning, we'll be in Ezra chapter 5, verse 1, through chapter 6, verse 22. Then the prophets, Haggai and Zechariah, Cenvito, prophesied concerning the Jews who were in Judah and Jerusalem in the name of the God of Israel, who was over them. Then Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, began to rebuild the temple of God in Jerusalem. The prophets of God were with them, supporting them. At that time, Tattenai, governor of Trans-Euphrates, Shethar-Bozenai, and their colleagues came to them and asked, "Who gave you authority to rebuild this temple and to complete this structure?" They also asked them, "What are the names of the men who are building this edifice?" But God was watching over the elders of Judah, and they were not stopped until a report could be dispatched to Darius, and a letter could be sent back concerning this. This is a copy of the letter that Tattenai, governor of Trans-Euphrates, Shethar-Bozenai, and his colleagues, who were the officials of Trans-Euphrates, sent to King Darius. The report they sent to him was written as follows: To King Darius, all greetings. Let it be known to the king that we have gone to the province of Judah, to the temple of the great God. It is being built with large stones and timbers, and being placed in the walls. The work is being done with all diligence, and is prospering in their hands. We inquired of those elders, asking them, "Who gave you the authority to rebuild this temple and to complete this structure?" We also inquired of their names in order to inform you, so that we might write the names of the men who were with their leaders. They responded to us in the following way: "We are servants of the God of heaven and earth. We are rebuilding the temple which was previously built many years ago. A great king of Israel built it and completed it. But after our ancestors angered the God of heaven, he delivered them into the hands of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, the Chaldean, who destroyed this temple and exiled the people to Babylon. But in the first year of King Cyrus of Babylon, King Cyrus enacted a decree to rebuild this temple of God. Even the gold and silver vessels of the temple of God that Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple in Jerusalem and had brought to the palace of Babylon, even those things King Cyrus brought from the palace of Babylon and presented to a man by the name of Sheshbazzar, whom he had appointed as governor. He said to him, 'Take these vessels and go deposit them in the temple in Jerusalem, and let the house of God be rebuilt in its proper location.' Then this Sheshbazzar went and laid the foundations of the temple of God in Jerusalem. From that time to the present moment, it has been in the process of being rebuilt, although it is not yet finished. Now, if the king is so inclined, let a search be conducted in the royal archives there in Babylon in order to determine whether King Cyrus did, in fact, issue orders for this temple of God to be rebuilt in Jerusalem. Then let the king send us a decision concerning this matter." So Darius, the king, issued orders, and they searched in the archives of the treasury which were deposited there in Babylon. A scroll was found in the citadel of Ecbatana, which is in the province of Media, and it was inscribed as follows: Memorandum. In the first year of his reign, King Cyrus gave orders concerning the temple of God in Jerusalem. Let the temple be rebuilt as a place where sacrifices are offered. Let its foundations be set in place. Its height is to be 90 feet, and its width 90 feet, with 3 layers of large stones and 1 layer of timber. The expense is to be subsidized by the royal treasury. Furthermore, let the gold and silver vessels of the temple of God, which Nebuchadnezzar brought from the temple in Jerusalem and carried to Babylon, be returned and brought to their proper place in the temple in Jerusalem. Let them be deposited in the temple of God. Now, Tattenai, governor of Trans-Euphrates, Shethar-Bozenai, and their colleagues, the officials of Trans-Euphrates, all of you stay far away from there. Leave the work on this temple of God alone. Let the governor of the Jews and the elders of the Jews rebuild this temple of God in its proper place. I also hereby issue orders as to what you are to do with those elders of the Jews in order to rebuild this temple of God. From the royal treasury, from the taxes of Trans-Euphrates, the complete costs are to be given to these men so that there may be no interruption of the work. whatever is needed, whether oxen or rams or lambs or burnt offerings for the God of heaven, or wheat or salt or wine or oil, as required by the priests who are in Jerusalem, must be given to them daily without any neglect, so that they may be offering incense to the God of heaven, and may be praying for the good fortune of the king and his family. I hereby give orders that if anyone changes this directive, a beam is to be pulled out from his house, and he is to be raised up and impaled on it, and his house is to be reduced to a rubbish heap for his indiscretion. May God, who makes his name to reside there, overthrow any king or nation who reaches out to cause such change, so as to destroy this temple of God in Jerusalem. I, Darius, have given orders. Let them be carried out with precision. Then Tattenai, governor of Trans-Euphrates, Shethar-Boznai, and their colleagues acted accordingly with precision, just as Darius the king had given instructions. The elders of the Jews continued building and prospering, while at the same time Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo continued prophesying. They built and brought it to completion by the command of the God of Israel, and by the command of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. They finished this temple on the 3rd day of the month Adar, which is the 6th year of the reign of King Darius. The people of Israel, the priests, the Levites, and the rest of the exiles observed the dedication of this temple of God with joy. For the dedication of this temple of God, they offered 100 bulls, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and 12 male goats, for the sin of all Israel, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. They appointed the priests by their divisions, and the Levites by their divisions, over the worship of God at Jerusalem, in accord with the book of Moses. The exiles observed the Passover on the 14th day of the 1st month. The priests and the Levites had purified themselves, every last one, and they were all ceremonially pure. They sacrificed the Passover lamb for all the exiles, for their colleagues the priests, and for themselves. The Israelites, who were returning from the exile, ate it, along with all those who had joined them in separating themselves from the uncleanness of the nations of the land to seek the Lord God of Israel. They observed the feast of unleavened bread for 7 days with joy, for the Lord had given them joy, and had changed the opinion of the king of Assyria toward them, so that he assisted them in the work on the temple of God, the God of Israel. So, previously, you had these governors of Trans-Euphrates stopping the work across on the temple of God, but now the people in Israel had resumed the work, and they came again and asked them, "Who gave you authority to rebuild this temple? And what are the names of the men who are building this edifice?" And so just thinking through it, if they had their names and included them in this document that they ended up sending to Darius, and Darius didn't want the temple built, he had the names of the men who were in charge of it right there. He could order their execution very, very easily. So, yeah. But they gave their story regarding the ordering of the temple being built by King Cyrus. And they were like, okay, we'll see about that. Sent off their letter, and Darius searched the archives, found this memorandum by King Cyrus, and sent orders back to stop bothering these people. Also, subsidize the building of this temple from your treasuries. Also, if anybody ends up messing with the work, he's going to get impaled on a beam from his own house. So, pretty intense. And then the temple is completed and subsequently dedicated. So, carrying on, 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 5 through verse 23. What is Apollos, really? Or what is Paul? Servants, through whom you came to believe, and each of us in the ministry the Lord gave us. I planted, Apollos watered, but God caused it to grow. So neither the one who plants counts for anything, nor the one who waters, but God who causes the growth. The one who plants and the one who waters works as one, but each will receive his reward according to his work. We are co-workers belonging to God. You are God's field, God's building. According to the grace of God given to me, like a skilled master builder, I laid a foundation, but someone else builds on it, and each one must be careful how he builds. For no one can lay any foundation other than what is being laid, which is Jesus Christ. If anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, or straw, each builder's work will be plainly seen, for the day will make it clear, because it will be revealed by fire. And the fire will test what kind of work each has done. If what someone has built survives, he will receive a reward. If someone's work is burned up, he will suffer loss. He himself will be saved, but only as through fire. Do you not know that you are God's temple, and that God's Spirit lives in you? If someone destroys God's temple, God will destroy him, for God's temple is holy, which is what you are. Guard against self-deception, each of you. If someone among you thinks he is wise in this age, let him become foolish, so that he can become wise. For the wisdom of this age is foolishness with God. As it is written, he catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the thoughts of the wise are futile. So then, no more boasting about mere mortals, for everything belongs to you. Whether Paul, or Apollos, or Cephas, or the world, or life, or death, or the present, or the future, everything belongs to you, and you belong to Christ, and Christ belongs to God. So, you have the this assertion being put forward by the people in the church of Corinth, that they're of certain sects, like, oh, I follow Paul, or I follow Apollos, or I follow Jesus, and Paul is admonishing them to stop this silly dissent, and to join together in unity, because Apollos and Paul are both servants, through whom they came to believe. They each had a portion in ministering to Corinth. That is, Paul planted the seed of the gospel in the hearts of the people of Corinth, and Apollos cared for and watered that. But God ultimately was the one who caused that to grow. Yep, they're builders in building up this church in Corinth. And yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Carrying on here in Psalm chapter 29, verses 1 through 11. Acknowledge the Lord, you heavenly beings. Acknowledge the Lord's majesty and power. Acknowledge the majesty of the Lord's reputation. Worship the Lord in holy attire. The Lord's shout is heard over the water. The majestic God thunders. The Lord appears over the surging waters. The Lord's shout is powerful. The Lord's shout is majestic. The Lord's shout breaks the cedars. The Lord shatters the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon skip like a calf, and Syrian like a young ox. The Lord's shout strikes with flaming fire. The Lord's shout shakes the wilderness. The Lord's shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The Lord's shout bends the large trees and strips the leaves from the forests. Everyone in his temple says majestic. The Lord sits enthroned over the engulfing waters. The Lord sits enthroned as the eternal king. The Lord gives his people strength. The Lord grants his people security. A psalm praising the Lord. And finally, Proverbs chapter 20, verses 26 and 27. A wise king separates out the wicked. He turns the threshing wheel over them. The human spirit is like the lamp of the Lord, searching all his innermost parts. Yeah, God understands what's in the hearts of men. Okay, well, thank you for joining me today. Hope you have a great day. Bye.